First thing you do is go inside and on the screen, press the button for the aero kit wing to come in the up position. That way we expose the screws in order to remove the top cover. They're basically 7 screws, and you could see we marked with the green tape all the way across, and you remove all 7 screws. There it is. And then once all the 7 screws are removed, the top cover will come right off. And then that exposes the inner part. And then now we'll show you how to remove this cover and then the mechanism in order to install the Sport Classic ducktail. So basically, these have to come out from the bottom, and the center ones come out from the top. So we'll take those out, and then we'll push the harness for the third brake light down, and then we'll remove this cover. Now to remove the harness for the third brake light, we're going to push in and unplug that right there. See how that comes out? And then we push the grommet in and then push the wire all the way through the harness. And then now that that's out, finally, we're just going to take these 2 screws here and here, which is the Torque 25. See, that comes right out. Same with the other side. Okay, there we go. So that cover comes off as well. And now what you see here is the spoiler lift mechanism. And then we're going to show you now how to remove this, because obviously we need to remove this in order to put the Sport Classic ducktail on in its place. Basically now we're going to open the trunk grille to access removing these plastic covers, and then that'll give us access to the hardware to move the spoiler unit. We open the back cover so that we have access to removing these plastic covers so that we have openings to the hardware for the spoiler that we can remove. This plastic cover will just pop right off. Okay, we'll remove it. And then this will give us access to the hardware to remove the spoiler. Same on the other side. You'll see how it pops right off. There we go. Again, access to the hardware to remove the spoiler. We also need to remove the oil in the water caps so that it can be released to remove that cover. Cover comes out, and now everything is exposed. Here we have access to the hardware to remove the spoiler on either side and the rear, but here in the front we need to remove the light bar in order to have access to the hardware to remove the spoiler. Basically, to remove the light bar, there's 30 torque on each side and then 4 in the center, and that'll remove the light bar. After you take all the hardware out, you just slide it right out, and it slides right out. So on the harness lock, the red comes out, and then once the red is out, just like that, then it unplugs, just like that. So that's a lock. Another plug on that side. So both of them, one on the left and one on the right side. After removing the light bar is to remove both of the engine fans. Each one has a plug, so we'll show you how to remove that and remove the fans. So the fans just pop out from the bottom first, and then the top pops right out, and then turn it around, and you remove the plug harness, unlock it with the red, and then pinch and pull it out. And you repeat the process on the other side. Pop out the bottom, pop out the top, flip it over, access the harness, undo the red lock, and then pull it out. There you go. We also need to remove the taillights, and you've got 30 torque here and one here, and that'll remove the taillights. Plastic prying tool, and then slide it right out, and then we'll turn it over and unplug it, release, and then unplug. Perfect. Repeat the exact same process for the left side. We're going to remove both of the 30 torque screws, and then we'll slide it out and we'll unplug it. Comes right out, and we'll flip it around. We'll undo the safety lock, that red tab, and then we'll pull it right out. There you are. So with the main harness for the spoiler, you have a tab right here that you push down on and pull it out, just like this. Or you could put a flathead screwdriver in there and pry that up and then pull it out. 2 screws, one here, 45 torque apiece. You lift the front up, and then you slide the back forward. There we go. There we go. Slides right out. And there you have it. Spoiler mechanism comes out. So basically you see these 2 yellow spikes on either side. So those rest inside. So that's why you have to lift the front first and then pull it out so it has a chance for these spikes to come out. Put the caps back on, even if it's temporary, until we get the Sport Classic Ducktail on. We always cover those for safety reasons. As you saw, it took us about 20-25 minutes to remove the spoiler unit. This is the next segment in installing the Sport Classic Ducktail on this 992 Targa. These rubber grommets come from the original latch plate, so all we're doing is transplanting grommets, the 6 of them, the latch mechanism here, and the wiring harness. So this is a 10mm socket. We put the harness in on the back side, and then we have all the plugs ready to go in on the latch plate. So now we have the grommets in place, the latch guide, as well as the wiring harness, which we've transplanted from the original latch plate and mechanism, spoiler mechanism, to this one. We have to, on the Targa, we have to open up the top just a quarter of the way. So the reason we only open up the Targa top this much is because obviously if it comes all the way back, we're not going to have access to put in the latch plate. We put in the back side first because we have to tuck it underneath the bumper. So basically we're using the same hardware that we used when we removed the original spoiler unit. So this is a torque 45 here, and then these 2 are going to be 30. So you have a 45 here and a 45 here and a 30 here and here. We have 2 31s on top of the bumper, fastening the bumper and the latch plate together, there and there. we just slip them back in just like we took them out originally. The right here is a torque 30, right here, as well as right there, which basically fastens the taillights to the bumper. So again, torque 30, fastening the taillight to the bumper. The taillights have guides in here, so you put it onto the guide and then you fasten it over there. The next step is to put the light bar in, and it slides right in. Plug it in, the green plug with the red tab to lock it in place. Yeah, on either side. And then it slides right in, tucks in underneath the quarter panel, on top of the taillights, on top of the bumper. So these are factory hardware that we call the Z guides, and basically what we do is we take these and we tuck it inside the latch plate and then align it there and then put in the screw and fasten. This basically holds the light bar in place, and there's supposed to be 4 of these, one here, one here, one here, and one here. However, when you put them on and align them before you tighten the screw, because if you tighten it, it might not align with these holes. So you want to just put in all 4, make sure it's aligned, and then start to tighten each one. So as you can see, all 4 of the Z guides are in place, and now we're tightening everything. Okay, so all 4 of these holding the light bar in place. Okay, and they tuck in, the tongues tuck in underneath the latch plate. And then now, finally, we have another 2 30 torque screws. One goes into here, and one goes into there, further holding in place the light bar. Now the next step is to attach the air guide to the Sport Classic ducktail, and once we do that, then we're going to install the Sport Classic ducktail onto the car now that we have the latch plate fastened to it. It's pretty simple. It's 2 screws on each side there, 6 screws in the center, and it'll attach the air guide to the ducktail. Next step is to put the ducktail onto the latch plate. So the way the ducktail goes on is you see these guides that are going to slip right into here, 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 and there, and then also here on both ends. That's where these guides will slip in. You push it a little bit down and then forward, and to bridge this gap, and then once we fasten it, it'll come forward and the line will be perfect. Torque 45 screw, so that goes in. And we push the ducktail forward and then we fasten that bolt. We're going to close the top completely so that we can make our final adjustment so the line can be perfect. Okay, so now that the top is closed, we're going to further adjust the line and make everything perfect. When you close this, you have access to the bolts so then it's much easier for you to push it forward and fasten it down. What you're doing is pushing it down and forward and then fastening that, and that gets all of the tongues that fit underneath the guides in there, and you have a perfect line here, both with the quarter panel, the top obviously, and the ducktail. Factory fit and finish. After aligning the ducktail so all the lines are perfect, we're going to open the Targa top again a quarter of the way so we can complete putting on the engine fan, the shroud, plugging the third brake light in, and all of that. Reopen the Targa top so we can access it for the engine fan, the shroud, and the rest of it. So we just plug in the wires for the third brake light here, and then we plug in the main harness. And that takes care of the electrical. Harness is right there. And then once we plug it in, we pop it down right into the grommets. And that stays in place. And then we do the second one. Again, the second engine fan plugs in to the harness. And then the guides go right into the grommet, like so. And now we're ready for the fan shroud. The next step after installing both of the engine fans is removing the caps on the oil and the coolant. Making way for the engine fan shroud cover. Which just clips right into place, very easy. And everything is done. Now we just close the Targa cover. As you can see, the brake light works perfectly. Top is closed. The Sport Classic ducktail is installed on the 992 Targa. And it looks amazing.